US Arab Radio, as usual, in the front line, covering all the events that comes to the community. And today we are offering and providing a full coverage for the AHRC, the American Human Rights Council. Reporting live for US Arab Radio, Sameh Al-Hadi. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is a special covering today for the wonderful event of the AHRC. And we have one of the trademarks, one of the landmarks, one of the community leaders in the Metro Detroit area, the president of the City Council for the City of Detroit, Brenda Jones. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, young man. How are you?
Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity. The Arab American listeners who's following us would like to get an insight from you. What is this event means to you?
And so it is, first of all, let me say, I am here every year. And I look forward to this event. It is so important that we honor human rights. The things that we are going through today. Who would ever think that we will go backwards in some of the things that we are doing today, and that's what we are doing. We are moving backwards. And so this event is so important to show the world that we can come together, that human rights is so important to all of us, and that we will continue to work together. We will continue to fight together. And I always say, when you fight together, when you come together, you win. And so we are going to win this fight that we are in for human rights, this fight that we are in where we see people are being deported for no reason whatsoever. We are going to win that fight. And so human rights, social rights, and justice is what we stand for and what we will continue to work forward for.
We're looking forward to you as an example for this fight. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue our coverage for tonight. Thank you very much, Ms. Jones. Going back, ladies and gentlemen, for this special coverage for the event of the AHRC. And we have one of the Arab American community leaders. Back in days, he grew up in Dearborn to represent this culture and how we can be a part of the American dream. I would like him to introduce himself to you guys.
Hello, Chief Mike Jafer with the Wayne County Sheriff's Office.
And this is Chief. This is not just a law force member. He is the chief, and he's coming from the Arab American descent. What this event could means to you?
The event, anything to do with human rights, it means a lot to me. I come from a family of humanity. My father came here as an immigrant, didn't speak one lick of English, and always taught his kids to make sure, never forget to give back. And I am pleased to be part of such a great event that gives back to humanity.
From a perspective of a security, do you think these days are bad more than 3 or 4 years ago in regard to hostility, animosity, anti-immigrants movement, those type of things?
So, you know, as a police officer, I always have my guard up, whether it was 4 years ago or it was today. For me, it doesn't matter. But I think for individuals, specifically of Middle Eastern descent, if that's where you're going, you should always be vigilant and always have your eyes open. And this is the kind of stuff these are the kind of events that show people your culture. And you bring people together. I see all kind of races, religions, different ethnicities. This is the kind of stuff that gets rid of ignorance.
Thank you, Chef Jafar. Appreciate your work to the community. Have a good evening. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we still continue this wonderful event and this live coverage coming to you from US Arab Radio for the AHRC event. And we have one of the distinguished guests here. I would like him to introduce himself to you.
Hello, how are you? I'm Matthew Schneider. I'm the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of Michigan.
Well, this is a wonderful position that put a lot of responsibility on your shoulder. Do you think the human rights movement in this city, in this state, in a bad position after those anti-movement, anti-immigrants, if I'm using the right term, come into the service in the last maybe year?
Well, we always have to be mindful that we need to work together as a team and move forward. And we can always have priorities. My priorities are violent crimes and gangs and corruption and terrorism, but there's also civil priorities, and chief of those are the protection of civil rights and civil liberties.
What's your message to the people who might be scared to vocal and voice out things that might be illegal happens to them?
Well, everyone should have an ability to have a voice and to have a right to express themselves. And the Justice Department in Detroit, our mission is, as I said, it's not just to prosecute crimes, it's to defend the laws, it's to defend the citizens, because we represent everybody in this room, and we will continue to do so.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate you being here. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're still in our continuous coverage on the AHRC human rights event, if I'm using the right term, and we have one of the wonderful and distinguished guests. I would like him to introduce himself to you.
Hi, I'm Victor Green, Director of Community Relations at Wayne State University.
Well, Victor, do you think this event is going to be doing something? A lot of people may be like saying that those events is not reflecting anything, nothing happening, no changes. What do you think?
Well, I think the most important thing is that you got the change makers here in this room. You got the people who can make the policies. You have the people who are active out in the community, and they're all communicating. So we have an opportunity to have very courageous conversations here today on differences, but yet we can find something very similar to make sure that everyone has a voice here. So I'm excited about being here.
Are you optimistic, although that the whole atmosphere is anti-immigrants, anti-rights, those type of things?
I'm very optimistic because you got some of the leaders here. They're going to talk about the importance of having safe identity of who you are. They're going to talk about the importance of who you are here in this nation, in this country, and that everyone should be accepted and treated fairly. So I'm very excited about it. You got the right people here today to have this conversation.
Thank you very much, Victor. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I welcome you this evening. On behalf of the American Human Rights Council, I welcome you. Today we're very fortunate. Our MC is going to be Mr. Josh Landon from Fox 2 News. Please help me in welcoming him.
I am very honored to be here. I've been at Fox 2 since November of 2015, born and raised on the east side of Detroit. Graduated from Denby High School. It's a pleasure to be back home, working in my hometown, and I also have a lot of roots here in Dearborn. By a show of hands, does anyone know Joe Bazzi? Yeah? Yeah? Give a clap for him real quick. Well, small world, that's my first cousin. Yeah, I'm a Bazzi also. So it's been a pleasure being back home, working in my hometown, connecting with my Lebanese roots here in Dearborn. And so it's a great pleasure to be here this evening. With that, I would like to get the show rolling with Yasmin Suri to sing the U.S. National Anthem. Give her a round of applause.
Please stand for the national anthem.
What's so
Please give Yasmin one more round of applause. First up for our welcome remarks, Brenda Jones, President for Detroit City Council. Please give Brenda Jones a round of applause, please.
I'm going to start off by saying good evening to everyone. And it is truly always an honor to be here at this dinner. It is always an honor to be at the gala dinner. When I thought about what my remarks would be, as I said, welcome to everyone, and bringing a welcome from the largest city in the state of Michigan, being none other than Detroit, and always talking about the spirit of Detroit and saying that there is a big green statue downtown, and that is not the spirit of Detroit. The spirit of Detroit is what you carry around in your heart. I thought about human rights. And I went back when I thought about human rights because we were at a dinner awarding people for the work that they have done in the area of human rights. And I went back to the United States Constitution. And let's just go back to, in 1776, Thomas Jefferson proposed the philosophy of human rights inherent to all people in the Declaration of Independence, asserting that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That was in 1776. We are in 2018. Can we say that we are living true to the United States Constitution? And I would have to say we aren't. We are not living true to this United States Constitution. And when I think back and looking at everything people are doing fighting for our human rights, and it should not be a fight because it's in the Constitution. It should not be a fight. But when I look at those that are being deported back, when I look at immigration and where we are today, and wondering if we're going back to before 1776, before this was put in the Constitution, is something to think about. It's something to think about. And so as I leave the stage, let me say to everyone, we all should be one that everyone is looking at to say they should be getting an award for their fight for human rights. And so I recognize and I appreciate those who are being awarded tonight because you truly have been in that fight. And that's why you are getting the award that is being presented to you. I say thank you, but I challenge everyone in this room. I challenge everyone in this room to continue the fight for human rights so that next year, when they're deciding who's going to be the awardee, it's a fight to decide who should actually be the awardee because we are all fighting that hard for human rights. And so again, thank you. Thank you to this organization for all that you do, for all that you have done, and for all that you will continue to do. And I say to everyone, please continue to support this organization and please continue to fight the fight, because I always say when we fight together, when we come together, we win. So when you fight, you win. And so let's come together and fight together. the stage that we are in right now, trying to protect human rights. God bless you, and again, thank you for giving me this opportunity to welcome you to this great annual gala and dinner, awarding those who have done significant work in the area of human rights. God bless you all. Thank you.
It is my honor and privilege to introduce our special guest. As many of you might have heard of her father, Muhammad Ali. Make some noise for that great, iconic human rights leader. At the age of about 11 or 12, Rashida Ali was at the time daughter of Muhammad Ali at 12 and all the other ages. But that's when, around the time when he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, or misdiagnosed, and there's a lot of issues around that. So this woman has fought with her father against neurological disorders for decades and years. She is a true hero. She wouldn't say she's an expert, but when you spend that much time researching and fighting, not as only as a family member of the person with the disorder, but as an advocate, she has traveled the world, she has brought attention and raised funds for research. She's a true blessing. And at the memorial service for her father, she talked about her and her family and her siblings continuing and building upon the legacy of Muhammad Ali. And she is doing that. She is a freedom fighter, and Muhammad Ali, his spirit and his love continues through her. As a human rights advocate, but also sports. Her son is a football player at Cal Berkeley, and one of her sons is an amateur boxer. So the dream continues through Rashida and her children. Before our honored guest comes up, we're going to ask that my main man over here put on the video.
Liston put him on the map. He was an unknown loudmouth boy from Louisville, Kentucky. He just won the Rome Olympics, but he's no heavyweight champion. And that fight literally, instantly turned him into a star.
That's the greatest fight that I've lived. I don't have a mark on my face. Yeah. I upset Sonny Liston, and I just turned 22 years old. I must be the greatest.
He was poetry in motion. When you watched him box, you were watching a Shakespearean actor running around the canvas.
Float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble.
Well, he's always said this. Boxing was merely my introduction into the world. What happened after boxing is when I became a man.
Now my life is starting. Fighting injustice, fighting racism, fighting crime, fighting illiteracy, fighting poverty. Using the space that the world knows for fame and going out and representing truth and helping certain causes.
He talks about it every day. How can I make this world a better place and get to heaven? In 1984, when my dad was diagnosed, he dealt with Parkinson's the way he deals with life in general.
I'm still the greatest of all time.
I never say, you know, why him? Because he never says, why me? To stand up there with visible signs of Parkinson's and to light that torch, he was telling people in the Parkinson's community that I'm Muhammad Ali. I have Parkinson's and I'm still loved and respected around the world. You can continue to dream even with Parkinson's. You can continue to have aspirations and goals. And he still has goals. He still has things he wants to do. And he does them. And I think that doesn't just inspire people who have Parkinson's, but it inspires me that you never give up your dream. Hang on to it.
I lift up the world! I lift up the world!
American Human Rights Council, a Spirit of Humanity Award, proudly presented to Ms. Rashida Ali. Come on down, Ms. Ali. Y'all better make some noise for Ms. Rashida Ali. She's the daughter of the champ.
Thank you so much, Isaac, for that beautiful introduction. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. I would first like to thank Ahmad Hamad, Executive Director for the American Human Rights Council. Ahmad, thank you for inviting me. So the theme for this evening's dinner is serving humanity together, and that literally complements my dad's motto, which is service to others is the rent you pay for your room in heaven. And that's what my dad did while he was here. He served others, and he didn't take any time off either. And I think that's what AHRC is doing, serving others, serving people and protecting and defending their civil and human rights. So I thank you, Ahmad, for you. I thank all the volunteers and all of the board members and all of the supporters of AHRC, because it definitely does take a village to be able to protect each other's human rights. So thank you for all that you do. My dad was a son, he was a father, a grandfather, a Parkinson's advocate, civil rights activist, human rights, ambassador of peace. My dad wore a lot of hats. And when he was here, he illustrated that we all have the ability to be great and do great things. And he always told me that anything was possible when you believe in yourself. So I think out of all the things that my dad taught me, it's that resonates with me, is how confident he was all the time, even when he didn't feel it, when he was fighting Sonny Liston, for example. he pretended, even though he didn't feel 100% confident. But my dad is known to the world as the most famous boxer who loved to be in the ring, egging on his competition, and taking home championships and collecting belts. But to me, he was just daddy. A caring father who wanted to give back to his community and make this world a better place. As we continue to be inspired to carry on our father's legacy, it is an honor to see how much love and respect my dad continues to have. And all over the globe, not just in the United States, but all over the globe. It's just a beautiful thing to see. And I think my dad has always, when he was here and when he was around people, he wanted us all to be the best version of ourselves. And I think that, you know, when I'm doing good, I feel like I'm Ali. And when you're the best version of yourself, and when you're at your best, you're Ali. And that's how I feel. I just got off of a plane. I just got here this morning at 6 a.m. I was in Seattle for the end of the We Day tour. And Seattle was the end of their spring tour. And what I did in Seattle was I'm promoting the Ali in All of Us initiative through the Muhammad Ali Center. I spoke to a wonderful lady out in back, I can't remember your name. She went to the center, and we're doing some major strides. When my dad created and opened the center in 2005, his dream was to help others, mainly kids, our next generation. So it's a learning institution. It's not even a museum so much, it's more of a learning institution. And so what I did in Seattle was I talked about the Muhammad Ali in All of Us, and there's a new app called, through the Muhammad Ali Center, called Ours Against Hate. And what this app does is you download it, it's free, and you compete with people all over the world by asking or answering questions about different cultures. And you rack up points. And I think the whole purpose was that is to try to realize that we're not so different. You know, when we're competing and we're all doing things and we're, you know, online, we all have the same, all of us, you know, we really do have the same goal in common, as general love and respect for one another. And I think that's what that act does. It basically increases our understanding of others, and it also complements my dad's respect for everyone, as he was very respectful for every single person he met, regardless of their race, religion, or background. And I think that's why my dad he always said, "I'm bigger than boxing." That's why he said that, because he thought boxing was his platform, but he knew he was going to do great things with the career that God blessed him with. And he did. And I think that if anyone were to be blessed with a career like that, you know, it would be my dad, because he reached so many people and he touched so many people and helped so many people with that platform. And I'm grateful that he was my spiritual guide and my teacher. If you look past the exterior and into your heart and soul, you know, what you share with my dad is the same thing you share with the person sitting next to you or the person sitting across from you. It's what we all share. And it's basically our common humanity. And I think my dad tried to bring that out in every single person he met. So my father taught me many things, and that have impacted my life, while using all of his 6 core principles, which is confidence, conviction, giving, dedication, respect, and spirituality. And these are all the convictions that when you go to the Ali Center, you'll see his trials and tribulations, the journey that he took as a little boy and a young man and an older man, and all the, you know, the problems that he's had while he was here, and how he dealt with those problems. My dad felt that these values were important to him because he believed that life is a test from our Creator and from Allah, and that everything we do in life should connect to a human purpose. And that's why my dad did all the right things, because I know he felt that he had a purpose there. What I'd like to focus on tonight is the power of his example in connecting with others and finding that common bond that we all have as a humanity. And by sharing one real stories with you and show you how he was able to connect with people from all walks of life. I believe my father, his greatest achievement in this life was to inspire generations of people all over the globe to strive to be great, to do great things. And he was an unforgettable, dynamic boxer who transcended the sport. But he used his platform to help causes that he talked about in the video that was near and dear to his heart. And he wore many hats and tried to be the best at every single thing he did. And the reason my father had such an ability to inspire so many people, I feel, is because he loved them as much as they loved him. And my dad made, if you had the honor of being able to meet him, he made you feel like you were the greatest. So I'm going to tell you a little story about what my dad did. Some of you may know this. In 1981, and the Los Angeles police negotiators tried to talk a man down from a 9th-story building, and he wanted to end his life. So my dad's friend, Howard Bingham, was going into that building at the time. And so Howard went over to the policeman and asked, you know, do you think that maybe my friend lives a mile from here, do you think Muhammad could probably help talk him down? And the police officer says, no, it's fine, we're doing the best we can. So Howard called my dad anyway and said, you know, Muhammad, you know, I'm a mile away from you, going into a building, there's, you know, a traffic stop, there's the guy who wants to end his life, and I don't know what to do. I'm thinking maybe you could help. The policeman says you probably can't do anything. And my dad jumped in his car and he dodged traffic, and he went down into to the building, and they had a policeman, a psychologist, and a police chaplain who tried to talk the man down. And they described him as very distraught. So when my father appeared in the window next to the distraught man, the man looked at my dad and said, "Is it really you?" And my father said, "You're my brother. I love you, and I wouldn't lie to you. You gotta listen. I want you to come home with me, and I want you to meet some friends of mine." He promised to help the gentleman find a job. So after half an hour, my father came out of the building with his arm around the man's shoulders and led him to safety. The police chaplain and the police staff on site, they basically said, there's no doubt about it, they said, Ali saved that man's life. When you think about Muhammad Ali and think about what made him so special, it wasn't his prowess in the boxing ring, it wasn't his good looks, charm, or wit, although those are qualities he tried to mention to you. It reminds you every day that he has those qualities. It wasn't even his fight for civil rights or equality for all Americans. But yeah, I think what made my dad so incredibly special was his ability to connect with every single person that he met. And his connection to people in his community led him on numerous journeys to places all over the globe, some near, some far, and all diverse different places, walks of life. And Daddy had the ability to connect really spiritually. And each one, he left a little bit of himself behind. Through large and small acts of kindness, he insisted that we should do every day, which is what I feel AHRC is doing. And it was not unusual for people to cross the street and dodge traffic and jump fences and elude security and camp outside of our hotel room, just so they can just see him, just look at him or just touch him, because he made them feel special. But when my dad met people, my dad embraced them, and he felt like in that moment of time, he made you feel like he was all yours. And my father's always spoke up for the oppressed and embraced everyone, despite of our diverse backgrounds, races, and cultures that may divide us. But he felt that we should unite for one cause, and he wanted to find truth and peace together as a nation, because my dad wrote the shortest poem in the English language. I know you guys have heard of Me, We. Because that's why the journalists nicknamed him the People's Champion, because he never fought for himself. He never even sparred for himself. He always sparred and fought for his people. It was always a bigger, underlying purpose. So we would go every summer to visit my dad in Hancock Park in Los Angeles, a suburb outside of Los Angeles, every summer. And my dad felt that he wanted us to grow up and know one another, even though we all had, different moms. My dad was a busy man, so he was pretty, so anyway. So he wanted us to know one another and love one another and grow up. And so, connected. So one summer, my dad, put us all in the car, and he drove his favorite car, the Rolls-Royce Corniche convertible. He loves that car, and he drove it down Wilshire Boulevard with the top down, because he used to, he loved it, he was excited. And so one night he picked up a homeless family, and we were all like, "Oh my God, Daddy, you don't know, he may have a weapon." We were freaking out, and Daddy was like, "Let's take him and bring him home." So Daddy brought him to our house in Hancock Park, and his wife wasn't happy, but he fed the family. He gave them some money. I think he pulled off a watch or something and gave him his watch, or so, it's something that he wanted him to be able to sell so he could feed his family for more than just a day. And that was the kind of man that we grew up watching. That was the kind of example that he gave us, is at that age, he wanted to show us and how he was able to give. And he did that all the time. And that's how we learned charity and service and humanitarian abilities. But when crowds of people would surround my dad to get pictures and autographs and things, you know, he would gravitate toward and migrate toward those who couldn't get close to him, like somebody in a wheelchair, some older person who has a cane, or a little kid who's too short and can't see, and he'd tell those people to come on up to the front because he wanted them to feel special. He didn't want them to feel left out. And, you know, I think one of my dad's greatest strengths is his power to connect to those who really wasn't the popular one, the underdogs. So when the Ali Center opened, my dad had security that took him to the back of the center, and there was a car waiting for him. So my dad got in the car, and he, you know, the driver was there, but there were a lot of people that camped out at the back because they thought they would grab Muhammad Ali and get him to sign a glove or magazines or a poster. And so my dad saw these crowds of people that were surrounding, you know, his car. So the driver was like, Muhammad, let's just go. And then Daddy was like, driver, stop. And then security was in the car with him, and Daddy lowered his window, and there was a gentleman that had a boxing glove and a marked Sharpie. And my dad lowered his window and said, you know, give me the boxing glove. And then the security said, you know, Muhammad, you might not want to sign that glove because they're going to just sell it on eBay, and they're just going to make money, and, you know, plus your value of your signature is going to go down. My dad didn't care. He was like, and signed it anyway, because my dad didn't care how much his signature was worth. He just wanted to put a smile on it. He didn't even care if they sold it on eBay. He just was like, you know, if he needs the money, then that's the way he can get it. So, and that's something that celebrities, I don't see. That's why I'm very picky when I meet celebrities. I meet them all the time. I'm very picky about the ones that I consider genuine, because Daddy was the prime example of how you should behave, you know, when you reach that level of stardom. So in this country as big and diverse as ours, there are always, and I think will be, divisions. And in these times, you know, when it feels like we're more divided than ever, I believe we can once again find our common humanity and rediscover what binds us is through service. So, but too often we're taught to be afraid of one another and to put up our guard against one another, because we live in a time, I think we're backwards about 50 years, when even our political leaders speak in terms of us and them. And our political leaders are teaching us to fear each other. And, you know, that's why we have to now come closer together to be able to find our common humanity. But we have a choice in how we manage those divisions, and we can choose to let our differences drive us a permanent wedge between us, or we can choose to look within ourselves and find empathy of those who seem different from us. I worry that we're missing opportunities to teach our kids from an early age to engage with the world and to notice people around them, especially those who might be suffering. To reach out to those with, like my dad does, small acts of kindness. So my dad inspired us in the world to be the best version of ourselves, and he combated injustice of all people. He thought we were strongest when we stand together as a people and as a nation. But you have the power to change your community. I think AHRC is doing a fantastic job with that. One person can't do everything, but we all can do something. And I'm hoping that we see our pledge cards on the table and that we donate generously, because it really does take a village to be able to help combat, you know, the many people who are suffering in the United States and abroad. And as the chapters of my life continue, my father, of course, will always be in my heart. And, you know, I always kind of look to him for guidance and inspiration. But when I wrote my book on Parkinson's disease and how it affects the family, it not only helped my kids communicate better with their poppy, but it helped them become more loving and compassionate as adults. So my husband and I and my two boys, we generously donate to the communities that are suffering in Las Vegas where we live. And so we go to the Las Vegas Rescue Mission and we create these survival kits. And we put in there general hygienic products, toothbrush, socks, deodorant, mouthwash, things like that, and we hand them out to the homeless community. Also, we do a lot for the Catholic Charities of Southern Nevada. We go to the Ephraim Baja Center, which, there. We go there and we help and we distribute survival kits to our hometown of Chicago. So, in conclusion, my dad's greatest gift is to see the humanity in everyone, to give of himself. And it's something that we all possess, but please don't forget, he also believed that the soul of a nation could be measured by the strength and kindness of our community. And I think that Dearborn has a beautiful community here. It's really refreshing to see all of the bodies here and all the support that you have as a community. But protecting and defending our human rights is something that is extremely important, and I'm so pleased and blessed that you guys are all here, that are here for that common purpose. So let's work together to create a world that all of us, including my dad, can be proud of. Thank you.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we still this wonderful coverage for this special event today, and we have the daughter of the legend, Muhammad Ali, Rashid Ali. Welcome to Michigan.
Thank you very much.
And would like to see and hear what is your insights about this event.
You know, it's wonderful to see the Dearborn community come together as a community to help an issue that is ongoing, that needs support, and that's why we're here. We're trying to raise money to protect our civil and human rights. And I think it's beautiful to see that this turnout. It was a full, packed audience, and I think that just really shows the passion and the support from not only the Dearborn community, but also the surrounding Michigan area. It's just wonderful to see the support that you have as a community, but also there's a demand for help, and I think that it's great that we're coming together to do that.
Rashid Ali, I heard your speech. You talk about this wonderful journey and the relationship between your father and the daughter. What is the situation or the thing that you cannot forget happens between you and your father? And would like to share this with our listener and viewer.
You know, every single second that I spent with my dad, because, you know, us kids had to share him with the world. So it was a challenge for us to do that, but we understood at a very young age that he wasn't just ours. He belonged to the world. And he didn't just help us, he helped the whole entire world. So it was a big pill to swallow. But once you realize how many good things he's done, how many millions of people, billions of people he reached, then it's all worth it.
If Muhammad Ali with us here in 2018 with this atmosphere around immigrants and human rights, what do you think he would say?
You know, my dad has always used his name, used his celebrity to help causes, and this would be a cause that he would definitely help. My dad was standing up for humans all the time, human rights, civil rights. He always protected us, and I think if he was here with us today, he would be behind this cause as well.
Thank you very much, Rashid Ali. Welcome to Michigan, and we're glad to have you here today. Thank you.
For having me.
Thank you.
Council President, thank you for your lovely, candid thoughts. Next up, I would like to welcome Captain Issa Shaheen with the Dearborn Police Department. Please give him a round of applause.
Thank you for braving a treacherous windstorm to make it here today. For those of you that don't have power, hopefully you get it back soon. On behalf of Mayor John B. O'Reilly Jr. and Police Chief Ronald Haddad, and the 98,153 residents of Dearborn call Dearborn home, it is my pleasure to present Ms. Rashida Ali with the city coin, Mr. Charles Anderson, Ms. Rosemary Robinson, the Pakistani Women's Association of Michigan are going to receive certificates. You don't have to come up now, but it will be to recognize all the hard work that you've done defending human rights. I'll keep my comments brief, but again, thank you for coming, everyone, and hope you enjoy the rest of the evening.
If I can please have Dr. Sohaili come to the stage for AHRC's remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming. It's an honor to have you all here, and our distinguished guests, and the sponsors, friends, everybody here. We see some similar faces from last year. So thank you for continued support of this effort. And I want to thank the board who has been working hard this year, especially Imad. Where's Imad? Imad, can you raise your hand? Now, can I ask the AHRC board, the current board, to stand up, please, so be recognized? They've done a lot of work, especially at least part of the... Thank you very much. Thank you. There will be some changes, so thank you all for your help and service this year. It has been a special year. Actually, a few months in my office, I see my first patient in the afternoon talking to the patient, and she's telling me, she's coming from Texas, and I'm used to having people coming from out of state, and then she started talking about thyroid. She's telling me, you know, I didn't come here for my thyroid, I came for the Human Rights Organization, and it was a surprise to me. And she started talking about, she felt that she was mistreated in Texas somehow. Luckily, Imad was in my office at that time, which sometimes he liked to hang out in our office. I don't know why, but he always there. Is that right, Imad? So, and then he sat with her, helped with the case, sent it to the right people. As we have so many cases that happen all year, working like this. So I want to thank Imad for all the work. He always finds the right people, the right message to help people with these issues. One thing I have to just to recognize that recently, somehow the Nigerian Voice or Nigerian magazine decided to, all our press releases last year has been in the first page in a major Nigerian news. I'm not sure why. They always put the press statement and they have the picture and they put Imad Hamad on, but somehow they decided to put my picture and put Imad Hamad under my picture, and we never know the reason. And I always tell Imad that they probably looked at my picture and your picture and picked the handsome person and put him on their page. He didn't like that. So thank you, Imad, for all your work, and again, thank you all for coming, and hopefully we have a good program today. Thank you.
Doctor, thank you very much. Now we're going to move along to our special guest remarks. One quick note, Wayne County Executive Warren Evans made a stop by this evening, but he had to leave early due to other obligations. So let's give him a round of applause for stopping by. Next up, we're going to introduce Mr. Matthew Schneider, U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District. Please give Matthew a round of applause.
Good evening. Good evening. It is an honor to be here, and I'm so thankful to be here, and it's an honor to be the new United States Attorney in Detroit. Thank you. So I have a vision for this office and for the Justice Department in Detroit, and it comes in two parts. Number one, we have priorities. We have priorities for keeping people safe. And those criminal priorities are the prosecution of violent crime and gangs and corruption. But we also have civil priorities. And I can tell you this, chief among those priorities is the protection of civil rights and civil liberties for everyone in this state. My friends, Barbara McQuaid, the previous U.S. Attorney, did a fantastic job of outreach to the community and to speaking up for civil rights. And I wanted to tell you tonight that the mission of the U.S. Attorney's Office has not and will not change. As I said to my staff on my very first day in office, everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, and that's what we're going to do. So thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. Have a wonderful evening.
All right, I would like to introduce Justice Richard Bernstein, State of Michigan Supreme Court. Please give the Justice a round of applause.
I remember as a young judge having a conversation about what are the qualities that go into being a good jurist. And as the conversation continued, people said, well, that's quite easy. If you want to be a good judge, it's all about what school you went to. It's all about your academics and your intellectual curiosity. And I remember pushing back and saying, I think you've missed the most important criteria that goes into being a judge. When asked what that was, my response was our life experiences. For the folks that are here tonight, that have to endure the challenge and the hardship that comes with the fight for civil rights, we must use the experiences that God gave us. For those of us who have to endure the challenge, the struggle, the hardships, the difficulties that come with prejudice, that come with discrimination each and every day, it is on a night like tonight that we learn to rise, that we learn to take the experiences, the challenges, the hardships, the difficulties that we're given. And it's up to us to use those experiences to have an impact, to have an effect, to do something that can create change and that can make a difference in the lives of those around us. In the last minute that I have with you tonight, I want to share one concept that I think goes to the core of civil rights. It's the idea that life is always about the small things, never the big. We can focus on the grand issues, we can focus on the big issues, but it is the small things that people care about. It is their dignity. It is their independence. It's their ability to use transportation. It's their ability to have a job. It's their ability to be treated with respect. So as we go forward, as we push on rights, let us take the experiences that we have, let us focus on the small elements of life. Let us focus on the small things that create our dignity, that go to our essence, that go to our core, that go to who we are as people. And let us celebrate who we are. And let us celebrate the idea that we are part of a great story. That the struggle for civil rights will always have chapters. Chapters of pain, setback, and frustration. But it's only through those chapters you can come to find hope, joy, and triumph. We celebrate life. We celebrate our journey. We celebrate who we are. We celebrate why we are created. We celebrate our mission. And we celebrate the idea that extraordinary things can, will, and must happen for us all. But most importantly, we celebrate the idea that yes, many of us have infirmities, and many of us are mortal. But it is our spirits and our souls that know no bounds.
Like Muhammad Ali, she's undefeated. Representative Robinson is 20-0 in her elections, having never lost in her entire career of public service. That's something to clap about. I had the honor to work with her in Lansing for about 2 years, and I can tell you some of the things that she taught me. First thing is, when I used to answer the phone for her, I'd say, "Good afternoon, this is the office of Representative Rosemary Robinson." And she'd tell me, "You gotta stop doing that." I said, "What are you talking about?" She says, "First of all, don't call me representative, it's Rose. Second off, never forget the C." And I never knew what the hell the C meant, to be honest with you. To this day, I still don't know what that C stands for. But I will tell you that the C, in my opinion, means conviction. Rosemary is one of the people that has steel spine. Her convictions are what drive her every single day when she serves in Lansing. She's a woman who doesn't bow down to lobbyists. She's a woman who doesn't bow down to special interests, and she's always someone who stands up for the people, much like Muhammad Ali. The C, I think, also stands for community. She was a woman that clocked in and clocked out of Lansing as fast as possible to make sure that she spent her time in District 4, which covered Hamtramck in Detroit. Because she knew that the reason why she was up there was because of all the people that she would serve. She was also committed. She was a woman who they dubbed the professor in Lansing because Rose always read through every single bill before she voted. And oftentimes, they would say, you vote no a lot, Rose. She says, well, I vote on behalf of the people, not on behalf of lobbyists. So that's one thing that I'll always keep in mind when I think of the representative is she'll always, too, be the people's champion. Finally, I will say the representative is caring. I remember a story where a woman of 8 kids lost her house to a fire, and Representative ended her day short to make sure that she can find this woman a home. Now, she could have sent her a phone number of a homeless agency or something of that nature, but she took it upon herself to drive down to Detroit and make sure that that person had a home. So, it is my honor to present State Representative Rosemary C. Robinson, the Spirit of Humanity Tribute of Leadership Award. Representative, my Irish Catholic mother from the hood, Rosemary Robinson.
Good evening. Thank you to the American Human Rights Council for this great honor. I can't believe that Abraham was talking about me. I spent the last 6 years of my life living in the inner city of Detroit, very close to my community. I've had a very quiet life. I've only spent my life with the people of my community in Detroit and now Hamtramck. And I have spent most of the 50 years of my life in prisons, servicing and trying to free men. I'm going to be very brief. I spent my whole life fighting against the effects of mass incarceration and the ruining of human lives. I've been actively anti-war since the 60s in Vietnam, and I have a history of 6 years of activism. I just want to thank you all. But before we have our lovely dinner, and before we have all our happy conversations, I would like you to leave here tonight remembering the innocents in Yemen, Syria, and Myanmar. Thank you.
Next up, the Dreamers Act and the challenge facing the nation. I would like to introduce Ms. Cindy Garcia, Advocate for Fair Immigration Policies. Please give Cindy a round of applause.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cindy Garcia. I'm a UAW retiree. I am also a volunteer at Michigan United. Some of you may know my story, some of you may not. But I'm here to tell you that on January 15th, my husband got deported. We made national news. It was no fault of our own that this tragedy happened to my family. What had happened was we went to a lawyer and entrusted her with our lives in 2005. At that time, we gave her money. Lots and lots of money. She took advantage of us. I lost my house here in Dearborn and had to move to Lincoln Park. It was a tragedy. It is something that we have to face every day. It is not easy to stand up here and tell you my story. I am honored that immigration chose me, an activist from the UAW, to speak up on behalf not just of my families, but on the other families that are having the same injustice as myself. I have been honored to have the privilege of Debbie Dingle helping us in our struggle. John Conyers, Isaac himself has helped us. Gary Peters. I have had tons of people stand behind us. I was even grateful to have, I don't even want to screw up the man's name, Steny Hoyer come to my house. I was privileged. He wanted to know my story. I went to the State of the State and the State of the Union. Our stories need to be told. I am a U.S. citizen, and I am being done an injustice. My children are being an injustice, and it's not fair to us at all. This broken immigration system needs to be fixed, and it needs to be fixed now. It is hurting my families and the other families that are out there. No matter what nationality you are, if you come here illegal, they say you are here with ugly names. I choose the word undocumented. That's the word that I've been on Let It Rip, and I fought for that word. Because people were brought here as children, like my husband at 10 years old. He did not know any better. When he tried to get a job, that's when he found out he was here illegally. Yes, we tried to fix his status, and once again, our lawyers screwed us over. 2009, we had a stay of deportation. 2010, another stay of deportation. 2017, we went for our yearly visit, and we were told our time is up. There's a new president in town, and you have to leave. Our faces turned white. We were shocked at the treatment that we were being given. It was unfair treatment. We were being discriminated against because we were doing everything that immigration had asked except giving my firstborn and blood to them. And still, they told us he had to leave the country. So on January 15th, on Dr. Martin Luther King's Day, I stood up and decided to rise and say, enough is enough. I'm going to be the advocate for everybody who cannot stand up for themselves. So when I go and speak, and I have been in international news, I speak on everyone's behalf that is undocumented along with my family, because I say an injustice to one is an injustice to all. And I want you to realize that what Trump wants to do with his new DACA is crazy. He does not want family reunification. Without family reunification, me and my family will never be reunited again. He wants to separate the families, and it is an injustice, because the only way you'll be able to come is if you get a sponsor who will be able to have millions of dollars. Unfortunately, we won't have a sponsor like that behind me and my family and the others that are here. So with that being said, I urge you, contact your congressmen, your senators, speak up about DACA and tell them you want family reunification. And when you do that, mention the Garcia family, because a lot of them already know who I am. So I'm making it short and sweet and to the point. Please stand up, not just for me, but for everybody out there, because if I'm here, you could be next. Thank you.
Okay, so let's bring up the man who put all this together.
Well, first, let's say a big thank you to Josh, who also rooted to the Bazis family in our community. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. Well, indeed, I can only express our heartfelt appreciation for every one of you. I know if I were to recognize anyone, I will start from the back, last seat to the front, and all of you are one, as one big family. So thank you for being with us tonight. I understand that the challenges are huge. And I know that we live in an era where, unfortunately, the biggest challenge to humanity is us, the humans. And if we just, in a nutshell, run a brief record of the many crises that our world is facing, we feel sad, we feel the pain, and we feel the agony. So when we talk about the human crisis and the human tragedies in Yemen, in Palestine, in Syria, in Iraq, everywhere, hunger, poverty, conflict, wars, hate, discrimination, terror, and the list is long, very long. However, with all of these challenges that we face as humans and as a humanity, we stand tall, although I know I'm sure, we stand tall, strong, with a strong will to fight and fight back for the sake of the one humanity that bound us all and for the sake of our shared future and shared world regardless of race, faith, national origin, color, gender, and also the list is long. So tonight, we thank you again for giving us this humble opportunity to work with you, serving our humanity. And I'm sure the awardees that we chose for you this year, from the Pakistani Women Association to Mr. Anderson and the Detroit Urban League, to Rashida Ali and the living timeless legacy of Muhammad Ali, and to the one and only one, State Rep Rosemary Robinson, who spent 50 years of her political career with great honor and dignity. You know what, when we talk about politics and politicians, it's part of the makeup, it's part of the reality that there are politicians who give good meanings to politics, and there are who are, you fill in the blank. But State Rep Robinson truly deserves this salute, and I hope that we pay this little token of appreciation to her and her legacy, and I'm sure that her legacy as she retired as a state representative this year, that her son, the one and only Isaac Robinson, most probably the biggest and the tallest man in the world, will carry on her legacy next years ahead. With this, I would like to thank all the volunteers and the hard-working individuals, the team members who work hard to put this together. I know that we work with limited resources, but believe me, with the goodwill and the determination, we did it and we can do it again. And the last note, I want to thank Dr. Obeda Zuhaili, our current board chairman, president of the board. He's been president of the board for the past 3 years. I know we gave him headache. We gave him a great deal of stress. We thank him for his leadership, his vision, his support. Regardless what time, I can message him and visit him without prior notice to his office. As our current president, we pay a tribute to him tonight, as he will be departing his post as the president of the board. He's staying, he's stuck with AHRC. He will be on the board of ADC. However, the board elected Dr. Saleh Musleh to be our incoming board president for the next year ahead. So I want to call upon Dr. Obeda Zuhaili and Dr. Saleh Musleh to come to the stage. So we're going to create a tradition that the incoming president of the board, when he kick away the outgoing, he presents him with the flag. So next year he can assume the same responsibilities. So thank you, both of you. Over. Good evening, and I think what people wants to eat. I am honored to be on the leadership for AHRC. However, I have two conditions, okay? And I know we have a lot of legal people here, judges, lawyers, and law enforcement. I have two conditions. One, that Ahmad continue to do all the work. And condition number two, I do not wear the hat. Thank you and enjoy the night.
Again, thank you all. I know if I run to the name recognition, I'll be in trouble, but one dear friend, dear to my heart, always, I acknowledge him at this celebration, Dr. Ned Fawad, who is the president of the Lebanese International Council and a huge donor and supporter to AHRC. Thank you all. We wrap this evening with Imam Hammoud from the American Muslim Society with the unification. You know, Reverend Rani Abdul Masih should have been with us. Oh, Rani Abdul Masih. Please come to the stage. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum, peace be with you and good evening. I am honored to give the invocation today here at the American Human Rights Council Annual Gala. Human rights is an issue that has been blessed with a great amount of emphasis in Islamic faith. We are all equal in the sight of God. The best of us are those with righteousness. God said in the Holy Quran, chapter 49, verse 13, O mankind, indeed, we have created you from male and female and made you into nations and tribes that you may know one another, not kill one another. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of God is the most righteous. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught us that the best of us are those who stand for the benefit of humanity and its rights. You have your faith and I have mine, as our Prophet taught us, but when it comes to justice and rights, we stand together. Because if we don't, evil in the world will single us one by one. Defending human rights and protecting the weak is an honorable act, and it's the responsibility of all of us. Nelson Mandela once said, to deny people their human rights is to challenge their very humanity. What the AHRC is doing is so much appreciated by us and by humanity at large. We need more people like you to carry the torch of human rights advocacy in the US and the world, and you have been doing it well and indeed deserve our gratitude and support. Please join me in prayer. Let us pray for dignity. Let us pray for the dignity of all human beings. All praise is due to you, Lord of the worlds, the Almighty God, the one and alone with infinite wisdom, knowledge and power. We come before you today to give you honor, praise and thanks. We bow in humility before your majesty. We bow in humility before your majesty as we ask of you to bless us with your grace and wisdom. Gracious God, help us to overcome hate and intolerance. Gracious God, help us understand that all people are created equal, regardless of their skin color, faith, language, race, and ethnic backgrounds, and that all people of the world share the same basic human rights. We don't question your wisdom,
but we ask you, gracious God, to alleviate the suffering of people everywhere in the world. We ask of your grace to restore the dignity. We ask of your grace to restore the dignity of all victims of human rights and to honor all those who give their lives and those who continue to fight for our basic human rights. We pray for justice and peace. Gracious God, you are the source of all good and all blessings. Help us do your will as we spread peace on earth. Thank you to all for being here and for asking me to be a part of this great gathering. We wish you the best and pray that you will continue your great work for a long time to come. Thank you again, and God bless all of us and bless the United States of America. Amen.
Follow the words of the Imam. I want to invite you as that prayer to be our prayer. So as we pray today, I've learned one thing in ministry. The best thing that we can come in the presence of God is to ask for one thing, and that's God's mercy. Without God's mercy, we are nothing. Without God's mercy, we can do nothing. Without God's mercy, we really cannot even survive on this earth. So I want to join you as we pray for the world, and I want to hear you out. Now, you're welcome not to shout it out, but as we shout it and we share this response, it's very simple. God have mercy. Say it with me. God have mercy. I'll pray a couple of responses. When you hear me say God have mercy, you respond as a prayer of the people, just by saying God have mercy. Let it come from your heart. Say it to your Lord. Say it to your God, the one that you believe in. God have mercy, because without that God, truly we are nothing. God have mercy. Join me in this prayer. Heavenly God, you are indeed the gracious God. You are the God of all the earth, of all the living. You are the God of the seen and the unseen and the living. You've created the world with no end. Here we come to you in your presence, asking that you may have mercy on us. God, have mercy. God, for those who are suffering in the world all around us, for those who are homeless, for those who need shelter, for the humanity that you have created that truly cannot find a way to live and survive on earth, we cry out to you and say, God, have mercy. For those who need healing, gracious God, who are surviving violence, and those who are being afflicted, and those who are being oppressed, we cry out to you and say, God, have mercy. Gracious God, for all the world, for the war-torn countries, for those our sisters and brothers in humanity whom we cannot see, whom we do not know, but we know that they are, and they have been created equally with us. God, have mercy. For those who are suffering illness and sickness and living with chronic pain, we ask, gracious God, to have mercy. God, have mercy. And tonight, gracious God, for those who are suffering inequality, for those who are suffering injustice, for those who are not being treated well as they deserve with the dignity that you have given them by your gracious power, we cry out to you and say, God, have mercy. For this gathering, for these people, and for this food, here we ask, gracious God, that you may grant your blessing on this night and grant us your mercy. God, have mercy. Amen.
I say good evening to everybody. And this is Ahmad, and everybody here does such a great evening. It's an honor to be here with so many people from all spectrums. The new U.S. Attorney is really, I've been with Matt every day this week. I didn't see him yesterday night, and I felt sad. But the people really love this community. And I just want to say how proud I am to represent you. And these are days that we must not let people divide us with fear and hatred in this country. And that is, this is the best community in the entire world that somebody could represent. And I am honored to represent you. I am so proud of what everybody does in this room. And nobody wants love. I'm not going to keep you from eating, but I am. Your father was a friend of mine. And it's so, she is doing such fabulous work. She is such an inspirational speaker and is fighting for those with Parkinson's. And I want to thank her for coming to Michigan today, for being the most wonderful, elegant spokesman there could be. Welcome here.
Give it up one more time for Debbie Dingle and Rashida Ali. They'll knock anybody out. Dynamic duo. All right, everybody, there's about 3,000